Hey everyone, quick video I wanted to put together. I just had a crazy experience driving my Tesla back from Dallas to Austin. I hit some sort of object or crazy pothole on the road and literally blew out both my passenger side tires, and they were basically destroyed. There's no repair that can be done with them. So in this video, I'm gonna break down about 30 hours of what I've gone through the last 2.5, 3 days, dealing with everything from how to work with Tesla roadside insurance, roadside coverage, as well as how to deal with your insurance and where you would want to go with the car and all of that. And the thing is, when you call Tesla roadside, they're going to want you to tow the car somewhere. And for most of us, I'm guessing you're not experienced with that. I personally wasn't. And so it's really important to kind of understand what you need to do and ideally to know ahead of time so you can actually save money and time on what you're doing. That is what this video is going to accomplish. And I'll probably save you at least 10 hours, maybe more, of just making phone calls and kind of deciding, because I've literally gone through this exact process with my 2021 Tesla Model 3 Performance. I was driving down from Dallas, 100 miles from home in Waco, just outside of Waco, and I lost both my right side tires while driving. And so this is the process. Let's jump into it. I'm gonna number and partition this video a bit so you can get to the areas where you want to. If you wanna just look at how I thought about dealing with insurance and how I dealt with where to go and take the tires for repair, and we're gonna jump right into it, what to do with roadside assistance and what happens right when you first lose the tires and the process that goes into that and what I learned from that experience. So let's jump into it and let's go through the details. So I've actually built a flowchart here, and I'm gonna share with you guys on the screen exactly what this looks like and how it goes through. I know it's kind of detailed here, but essentially when you first get your tires blown out, so quick disclaimer, because this is maybe an emergency, if it's a serious accident or anything like that, this video is just for entertainment purposes. I am not going to be giving you professional advice on this. I'm not a medical person here, so please be careful. Call 911 if there's a major emergency or you have other cars involved. But if you just lost your tires and that's all you think that happened and you were able to safely pull off the road, this video is going to be for you and it's going to help you understand more about it. When you get the tire blowout, basically what's going to happen is you're going to want to come through and work with your Tesla app to actually contact roadside assistance. But here's the catch. If you've never worked with Tesla roadside assistance, what's going to happen is when they contact you, they're going to text you. They're not going to necessarily call you. And again, only if this is no other cars involved. If you aren't hurt, there's nobody that's been, been hurt in this incident, and you think it's just vehicle damage, but you were safely able to maneuver the car and get it to a safe place, then you would go through this process. But you'll contact roadside assistance, turn the hazard lights on as soon as you get the indicator that you've lost tire pressure. Turn on those hazards, pull over to a safe side, ideally on the right shoulder or off ramp, but do not drive distance on the tires if they're flat. If they're flat and you start driving, you're going to essentially be causing potential rim damage as well as frame damage to the vehicle. So you do want to get to a safe place where you're not going to get hit by other cars, and then get the car from stop driving. You want to stop the car from driving. And here's what you need to do at this point. You want to think about assessing what's going on. And so in my flow chart I have here, essentially what I'm doing is I'm looking at what our options are. So when you first get the issue, pull over to the side, turn the hazards on, get the vehicle on the shoulder as far over as you can safely, get out of the vehicle and inspect it safely. Be careful about traffic, really be alert here. When it happened with me, it was 11 o'clock at night. I'm on a major interstate, I-35, in the far right lane. I had about 2.5, 3 feet off of the shoulder where I was able to kind of create a buffer. But still, you got to be really careful. People don't see you. They're not paying attention. They're just cruising down the highway. So when you think about it, they're not really alert to pedestrians and other objects on the road. So the hazards is all they have to go off of, and the car, and you're probably not that visible. So be extremely careful. I can't emphasize that enough. Inspect the vehicle. If you think it was like not that big of a damage hit and it's just the tires, then that's usually a sign where you're going to go through roadside assistance either way. But in this case, you can actually consider just working on the tires. And here's the deal. With roadside assistance, they typically contract with AAA, and what they'll do is they'll give you up to a 50-mile tow. In my case, I was 100 miles, 92 miles outside of Austin, 100 miles from where I needed to go. And so At that point, Roadside Assistance was asking me, what's going on? Where do you want to actually go with your car? And I was pretty stuck. I didn't know what to do because, first of all, I wasn't sure if there was more damage on the car. And second, going 30 miles or even, 50 miles wasn't going to get me close to where I lived. And so I was just curious and wanted to know more about what was going on there. So again, what you're looking to do at this point is really just assess the damage. If you think it's just your tires, which often can be the case, then what you want to do with Roadside Assistance is make a decision on where you want to repair the tires. And here's the deal with that. If you have insurance, which you all would have insurance, but if you have collision insurance, collision is typically what your insurance provider adjuster is going to look at when it comes to something like this. Your car collided with an object on the road, and if the damage is beyond your insurance deductible, it's a financial decision for you. So I'm telling you all this right now because you kind of want to know where to tow the car. And in order to know where to tow the car, because that's what Roadside's going to ask you for, you have to kind of think about your financial situation as well as the damage of the car and how your insurance is going to play into that. And that's why I'm trying to put this video together, because when I got into this situation, I had no idea what to do. I wasn't sure. And I was just kind of, okay, I think this is what I should do, but I just wasn't sure. So assuming that you had just tire damage, that you think you had just tire damage, you're going to make a judgment call because you won't know for sure. What you want to do at that point is you're going to want to decide where to tow the car. And again, you're going to have a 50-mile radius. So if you're outside of that range, you're going to have to think about going on Google Maps, iMaps, whatever, Apple Maps, and looking for local tire shops in the area. And so I found a discount tire company in Temple, which was 32 miles south of me, and I told them to tow me there. Now, when you get out of the vehicle, you'll have to find a mile marker. Usually you can walk 100 yards, either north, south, east, or west, along the freeway in a safe place, far away from the lanes, and find some sort of mile marker or exit number. That's going to help them determine where you are located, and then you're going to tell them where you want the vehicle to be towed. If it's just you and you don't have anyone else in the car, typically the tow truck will be able to take you with the car to that location. Now, here's a hack that happened with my situation. Because I was 100 miles outside of Austin and I really didn't want to stay in Temple, which is kind of a small town, and I didn't have a hotel lined up or anything, and I didn't want to have to deal with going back to Austin and then coming back to pick up my car, I actually, when the tow truck actually came, which took about 45 minutes to an hour to arrive, I talked the driver into driving me down to Austin with the car to a tire shop near my home. And oftentimes these tow truck drivers are very flexible. So again, this is not legal advice. You're going to have to work with them. But I paid my guy $300 out of pocket in addition to what he got from the insurance contract he had already agreed to. And so I was able to get my car and myself towed all the way to the tire shop. He dropped it off in the Austin Discount Tire, and then he also dropped me off at home to get the cash and drive back. So that situation is a hack because in my experience, when these things happen, sometimes they're not happening in ideal locations, and you're going to want to think about where you want the car. So again, if it's just tire damage, it's likely that your insurance deductible on collision is not going to be worth it for one or two tires to be repaired. And in that case, you're going to be paying out of pocket because you just don't save enough on your insurance deductible. It's just going to raise the cost of your insurance. So you would just pay out of pocket and want to repair the tires. And this leads me to my flow chart on how to select tires. And I have spent probably 10 hours on hold talking with Tesla, their service center, with different tire companies to give you my feedback. And I reviewed and looked through three options. So number one, I talked to Discount Tire Co. because they had really high reviews. They were located both in Temple and in Austin. And I just have worked with them in the past and had really good experiences. They're not a franchise, they're a corporation that's privately held. So they tend to kind of run a tighter ship in terms of the quality of service and what they do. I also called Tesla, the service center, and talked with them after talking to Tesla Insurance. I have Tesla Insurance, I'm in Texas. And what happened was I talked to Tesla Insurance, that took a couple of hours, and I talked with an adjuster. You want to talk to an adjuster, and he was able to give me a rough idea of what the situation is based on my insurance plan. That's what you want to first figure out, because you're kind of assessing the damage. The tow truck driver can kind of help you as well, get an eyeball of their experience with yours to go, okay, yeah, this is probably a tire repair. The tire shop often will look at it and give you a free assessment and put the tires underwater to see if bubbles leak out of multiple areas, if the sidewalls are damaged, if they can patch the tire versus actually having to do a full-on replacement. But then at that point, what you're going to need to do after you talk with Tesla Insurance, what they told me is that for Tesla Insurance holders, when they go through the service center, you can get up to 50% off parts. Unfortunately, that doesn't cover tires. So the Pirellis I had on my Model 3 Performance are around $400 with Tesla, and they're around $430 or $420 through Discount Tire Co. So anyways, all that being said, I went back to Discount Tire I went back to my drawing board to look at the tire options, and I'm going to share with you what I had for the options I was looking at and what I kind of found here. So in terms of the different options to repair the tires out of pocket, because again, my insurance premium wasn't going to be, my deductible is $1,000. The tire damage was going to be around $1,000 to replace 2 full tires. And so I knew I was paying out of pocket. And then it was just a question of, where do I want to do this? Can I get some sort of discount with Tesla at their service center? And that's where I went to Discount Tire. My experience with them has been phenomenal. You call, you wait like a minute, and they answer the phone, and you get someone, and they're all pretty good about just giving you information right off the bat. That's been my huge experience with Discount Tire Co. Not everybody's the same. I know some centers can be run more poorly, but in my experience, especially looking after Google reviews and finding a high quality shop, I have had great experiences with them. I called the Tesla service center, and what my adjuster with Tesla Insurance said was, create a service appointment through the app, and then in the app, open the chat, message them, tell them that you have a Tesla insurance policy, and ask them for feedback on what the pricing would be for you to get this repair done with the service center. Here's the deal. My experience is working with Tesla. I love the company. I love the products. I don't love their customer service. In my experience, their sales teams are great. Their service center teams are great if you're in the service side, but they are poorly staffed in terms of the capacity and what they need. In most of the places I've gone to, probably 3 different service centers at this point in my life, and I'm usually calling and waiting 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes even longer, to just get in touch with someone who then usually isn't super helpful. And so for me, just off the bat, it's kind of a challenging experience that I'm not super excited about. But here's my pros and cons list. I called Discount Tire Co. I called Tesla Service Center, and then I called Costco because I'm a Costco member, and I love working and going through Costco when I can, because I find that they do really good by their members in terms of offering good value, and that is true. So the pros and cons. Discount Tire Co. was great customer service. They gave me a quote really fast. They let me keep the car overnight without issue. They weren't rushing me in any way in that sense. And they were able to take the car right away and assess it in the first day that they had it. So I found a lot of pros with them. The con, obviously, they're not a Tesla service center per se, but they certainly have experience working with Tesla. So, but I want someone who's really good to work on the car. It's an expensive car, and I don't want to take any risks there. Then I talked to the Tesla service center. Their quote was slightly lower than Discount Tire quote, but tires didn't fall into that discounted parts that the adjuster told me about when you're going to the Tesla service center to get work done. So really, it's good to take it to a Tesla service center when you have more major damage and maybe you're going through insurance. But if it's not going to be that case, then it's really probably not as important. And when we're dealing with just tires, then it really comes down to finding the right tires and the right service center in that case. Costco was good, but they didn't have a deal where I could replace just 2 tires. I had pretty low tread wear. I had about 6,900 miles on the Tesla, and Discount Tire said the tread wear was great, and that I really didn't need to replace both tires. I could just put 2 new on and then rotate the driver's side, which didn't get damaged, to the front of the vehicle and put the brand new ones with the full tread on the back. And that was kind of their recommendation. Now, you have to talk with your automotive tech. That's not professional advice, but a lot of people will recommend you change all 4 tires. I don't want to spend another $1,000 to replace brand new Pirellis that only have 7,000 miles on them when they're rated for 50,000 miles. And the tread wear, according to the tire shop, is pretty good. So I went with just 2 tires to replace. And I ultimately decided to go with Discount Tire Co. because Costco was quoting me at a price of $1,400 for, I believe it was Michelin. And then it was like $1,800 for these Goodyears. And those are good tires. And it would make sense if I was going to go buy new tires because my tires were all worn down. But because I'm not doing that, and also because of my experience and knowing that Costco and Tesla service centers are not as prevalent all throughout the country, if I'm taking my car on a big road trip and I'm driving through Central Texas, there's almost 800 Discount Tire locations. I'm much more likely to find a service center if something happens that I can tow to and get support than if I didn't do that. So for me, there were multiple factors here to consider with Discount Tire Co. that made me think I would rather just go through them. And then to top things off, they have a $75, at the time of this recording, it's $75 per tire, basically insurance policy on the tires, where if you hit some road hazard, pothole, they cover the full replacement of that tire. And I just opted for it. So instead of spending $940, I'm going to spend like $1,080 for these 2 tires to be fully replaced with that insurance policy. And then if this happens again, hopefully I don't lose the tires. But if I do, I'm with them. There was a Discount Tire within 30 miles I could have just towed right to. And that would have been the situation. So hope this was helpful. In conclusion, quick summary, figure out what your damage is. Is it just the tires? Is it the actual wheel wells? Is it more in the frame of the vehicle? If it's more damage, consider just towing it right to the Tesla service center. If you're outside of the range, try and talk to the tow company or your tow driver and see if they can tow it there, because you're ultimately probably going to have to go there anyway. If it's not that, if it looks like it's just the wheels, then figure out with your situation if you want to get it towed for a little bit extra and see if you can negotiate that to a close tire place that you want to go, whether that's Costco or a Discount Tire Co. or maybe a Schwab, for example. And again, with the tires and picking the place, I think with Costco, you're probably going to get the best bet if you had all 4 tires that you need to be replacing and you're a member. If you're not that, then a service center like a Discount Tire or Schwab, for example, would be probably your best bet, because you get that wheel, you can get that tire protection plan with the wheels. And in my experience, they're very easy to work with. They're quick and they're professional. And I've had a really good experience versus going through Tesla or, other conduits. So hope that was helpful. This channel is just about random stuff in my life. So it's a lifestyle update on things when they happen and what I'm thinking about. Wanted to share that because I had that experience. There really wasn't good resources out there. And I think that this really culmination of 30 hours of research and conversations and holds helped me a lot understand that, hey, if it's just the tires and if you can get the tow and you're farther than 100 miles, you can negotiate with the driver, and then you can figure out which tire company, the pros and cons between some of the choices there can all save you time and ultimately give you a better value. So thanks for watching. If you're interested in more content from me, I have a business channel. It's just Kurt Yaz, and you can find that on YouTube. And we talk about finance, real estate, stocks and money, and news. And if you are interested in health stuff, I am a big carnivore diet, animal-based diet advocate for holistic health, biohacking. And you can find my channel there, Carnivore Kurt. I'll link both of those up in this video. And thank you for watching.